Buongiorno, buon pomeriggio, e buonasera, Lazio world. Welcome to our instant reaction pod. Consider this your stoppage time as we review Inter versus Lazio in the penultimate match of this Serie A campaign. I'm your host, Shawn McIntosh, and here I am, lonely and disappointed. Our co-host Caleb Adams stuck in a bit of traffic, not going to be able to make this one, but we finish 1-1 in tragic fashion. This one, we've said time and time again that some of these matches sealed our fate, but this one most assuredly has done so. It was going to take a lot for us to qualify for Champions League, and it's pretty much over. 1-1, it finishes. We'll jump into a very quick recap. We won't spend too much time dwelling on this disaster and unfortunate match. A match in which Inter was certainly coming in celebrating with little to nothing to play for other than pride. So we had hoped that Mr. Inzaghi would do us some favors, but he came out with a pretty strong 11 despite not having anything to play for. Mr. Tudor, his starting 11, we saw the likes of Tati over Ciro, Vecino over Guendouzi, Rovella getting a very rare start, which was positive. A suspended Romagnoli meant a Gila insertion, back healthy. He looked fairly decent. Pellegrini getting a very rare start for him. And Provedel back and looking better than ever. But this one started. It started relatively quickly, 4 minutes in, and Tati scores a very nice goal after a beautiful breaking pass by Kamada. Tati curls it into the corner. Quite shocking finish from a player who has lacked that touch. Defenders tracking back on their heels, giving Tati all the space in the world. But in typical Tati fashion, when we think things go well for him, it is ruled offside in quick fashion. So we put our heads down and we continue fighting. A number of very big Provedel saves allows Lazio to stay in this one. And then Daichi Kamada, 32nd minute, with a strike off of his left foot, buries it in the back of the net to give Lazio a very important 1-0 lead. And then until it's late in the match, some substitutions by Inzaghi sees a Alexis Sanchez free kick in the air, dunk over Marusic's head. Dumfries with a towering header, which levels this one, seeing it finish 1-1. Again, very, very disappointing finish. In my 3 words, simple, same old crap. A lot of what we've seen time and time again, particularly this season, it is our inability to finish chances, only to allow an opponent to come immediately back down the field to bury their chances. And it's a tough one. We've seen this story time and time again. When I think about the things that went wrong, I thought by and large, I certainly had some questions of Tati starting, but whatever. We're at the point of understanding that between Ciro and Tati, there's going to be a little bit of rotation. But I really had some questions of Tudor late in the match of why we weren't seeing Ciro. And 60th minute, I had hoped to see Ciro on the pitch, and we didn't get that. But when I think at least of some of the positives, I thought Daichi Kamada played extremely well. I thought he was probably our best player on the pitch, and he was he was playing with a level of confidence that can potentially make us forget about Luis Alberto, regardless of what happens to him this offseason. We saw playmaking ability, we saw confidence, and obviously we saw a strike that's really showing us the type of player that Kamada can be. And Provedel immediately back from injury, and any questions about who he is as a keeper, and even whether or not he should have a place at Euros, I think go out the window. He was a big reason why we weren't down 3-0 in this one. And when I think of my player of the match, for me, I am giving it to Ivan Provedel, because this could have been an ugly one. And he came up with at least 4 absolutely massive diving saves, frustrating the attack of Inter. So for me, my man of the match, Ivan Provedel, with a big shout out to Kamada, who is just a very different player, and his intensity was what shocked me the most, because we just didn't see that in some of the opportunities he got under Sarri. While they weren't very frequent, he's certainly showing a player that can fight, and that was my biggest question of Kamada early on in this season. So that was good to see. It was good to see Ivan Provedel showing that regardless, right, we've got 2 great keepers, and probably something needs to happen in the offseason with one of them. But my bidone, I had 3 players really in the running, and I think given what happened at the end, so when I was looking overall at the match up until we get to that 80th minute, I didn't think that there was any players that played completely terribly. I think we got away with a couple Patrick moments. I didn't think Patrick played particularly well early in the match. It was his defending that ultimately allowed Thuram to just break free, and it was a Provedel save charging the line that escaped us conceding so early. And we saw Patrick was on the end of an early Lautaro header, but then we fast forward to the end of the match, and it's Tati, his inability to finish, and I don't know. It's a break. He's got Guendouzi wide. He's got options, and he allows Pavard to catch him, and we can dispute whether that was a foul or not. I haven't seen the replays. I thought Pavard got the ball, but we should have never been in a situation with Pavard catching him. If Cheeto is in that place, and Cheeto gets caught, I'm thinking to myself, look, this is a different Cheeto. He's older. He doesn't have the pace that he quite has, which is why you would want to see a player like Tati, younger, has some pace, has some strength. And Tati's getting caught because he lets off a little bit. And maybe I'm being really, really harsh, but I think he's a player that's afraid to score goals right now. And he at least had the option then to play a ball to a wide open Guendouzi to his left, and failed to do that as well. And that made us, obviously, that we paid for that. And the other player was Marusic on the end of it, as he so often is. I didn't think Marusic was particularly terrible during the run of play for most of the match. Erfan here on YouTube comments that Marusic can be the worst today. But I think it's fair to give him a shout, if not the bidone, because largely invisible, didn't really offer too much, but till the end of the match didn't quite make any massive mistakes. But it was his mistake, and he's just so often in the position where we just aerially get punished time and time again. And Dumfries dunking on Marusic. We've heard that so many times, where a player skies over Marusic, and their physicality is too much for him. His positioning is poor, and we're ultimately punished. So for me, the poorest players of the day were Patrick, Marusic, and Tati. But again, Tati scores early and it's offside. Tati has the opportunity to put this one away. I mean, there's not much that you can ask for as a striker for a free opportunity and to have options as well on top of it. And he gets it all wrong, not only in his decision but his execution. So for me, I'm giving Tati Castellanos the bidone of the match, and I think this one is. I've been pretty lenient on Tati and have hoped to see him grow as a player, but today is one of those, and maybe it's the emotions of immediately suffering a result that likely is going to see Roma finish ahead of us, which is really tough to stomach. But just see a player that has no confidence, see a player that it's been a full season now, and when you get these types of opportunities, you got to bury them. We're not talking about chances that are really tough to finish, and he's got defenders draped all over him. It's time and time again. He's got clear cut chances, and he's wasting them, and then we're punishing ourselves. So it's a tough one, and we take a look now at the Serie A table, and Lazio with 60 points, level with Roma, who has a match in hand. Recording this immediately after the match. Roma yet to play their game against Genoa. That one to kick off here in the next 20 minutes. So we need a very favorable result in that, and then in the final match to even have a glimmer of hope. And there's a lot out of our control, and that's really been the story of the season, putting ourselves in this hole. I can't really blame Tudor too much today. Again, I would have liked to seen Cheeto on much earlier. So we'll see. There's a lot of frustration. I think we've said this over and over. We can beat our heads over it. A lot of changes that need to come in this upcoming transfer window. But there at least was some glimmer of positivity and some players that we can lean on with Daichi Kamada, Rovella again. It was nice to see Pellegrini get an opportunity. I didn't think he played particularly well, but I didn't think he looked out of place, and I didn't think his performance was completely devoid of wanting to see him again. So I for me, when I think about this final fixture that we have next week, and in a match that now means virtually nothing against Sassuolo, who is officially relegated today. It's about putting our young players in. It's about trotting Ciro Immobile out, trying to help him bag a couple goals, making sure Rovella feels good. See what we have again in Pellegrini starting again, getting Isaacson out. It was another shocking omission today, was not seeing Isaacson in there. So disappointing. We'll suffer through one more match for you guys before a tumultuous and busy off season. And I said we're going to keep this one short because there just wasn't a lot of positivity and honestly in a match that we had hoped to come out with something in a match that Inter really didn't have to do too much and didn't have to play for much. No help from Lazzale and Simone Inzaghi. So, I won't forget that. But we'll cover the match against Sassuolo, and we're going to have some content really focusing on the transfer market, and certainly anytime Lazio brings on a new player, we'll do some scouting and evaluate those players for you guys. And any ideas, we are open to it for this off season of content you guys want to see, podcasts you want us to focus on, any new episodes, let us know. Regardless, as poorly as we played, as harsh as the results are, we are going to cover them, and we're here. So, sempre